Well, it's a pretty mild day today compared to what it's been this past week. It's probably -1 or something. It's not too bad. And I decided to come out and hang out with the horses for this first day of 2022. Poor things have been on their daily boring routine while winter slowly creeps by. And I was trying to reflect on how many different places I actually took everybody while sharing everybody's experiences on this channel. It's an overwhelming amount of that says "scratch my butt" in case you were wondering in horse language. Scratch my butt, Dad. And it's pretty crazy how many people have become brave this past couple years, isn't it? How many people became brave and courageous and came forward and spoke honestly about what they've seen. I think one thing that took me back the most, I think, is how many. Holy shit, how many. But then again, when you know it's real, when you know this topic and various other ones are authentic fact, I guess it shouldn't be overly surprising, right? Because it just didn't start when the internet started. This shit's been going on since we have been going on. So that will equal a lot of freaking encounters and a huge effort. You almost gotta applaud the dirtbags for the effort they put forward to keep all this under wraps. They did a pretty good job for quite some time, did they not? But now, through various social media channels, various people, including this one, the cat's out of the bag. The cat is out of the bag. It's not a joke. It's not folklore anymore. The truth is out. We know it. Just on this channel alone, I believe the last month, this channel had as many views to equal a third of the population of Canada. That's how big of numbers have been hitting this channel alone. A third of the entire population of the country of Canada, numbers equivalent, have viewed this channel just in the last 30 days. How's that for an example of what happens when the people come together, right? And spew the truth out no matter what and not be scared. It's a very powerful thing. Very powerful. But anyway, here, have a quick look at a handful of the places I shared emails from. I'll be back in a second.
In southwest Alberta, I heard what sounded like high-pitched human female voices on the hillside above the stream.
At the exact moment, Steve and I looked at each other and said these exact words at the same time. Do you feel that?
Shade is past noon. It doesn't look it, but it's getting chilly and I want to get it. See if I can get a share going. Go on Google Earth, wherever you want to go, and look straight west along this river and see what you see, okay? It's basically nothing.
Going down the list what I got on right now, got going on, you would commit me, and the people in the white jackets would come again.
I thought it was a big grizzly at first, but then I saw another blob come in and they went at each other and reared up, so I think I just caught moose fighting on video with their feet because I don't have any antlers right now.
Anyway, I'm going to share some emails from here. It's pretty cool to finally go out of my way to go, hopefully, film a grizzly bear and show you guys one. Finally happened. I was going to zoom in on the sea lions, let you guys watch those guys. I'm sure a handful of people around the world are going to find this interesting. Other people might find it annoying. I drove for about an hour, and I glanced over and I got a co-partner, traveler with me, and it's a frickin' greasy, slimy tick. So I'm a little farther away from the house. Actually, this dirt road right here keeps going along the river. The river's back behind me where all the bears are. But anyway, I hope New Year's Eve was safe for any of you that ventured out. Hope it was safe for you and safe for everyone you know and care about. I know everybody here made a huge difference in a friend of mine's life, and it makes me wonder, I actually caught myself wondering about Edgar. And I also started wondering if there was any certain emails that stood out for me over this past year. Edgar definitely stood out for me. I think probably because we went back and forth personally a few times via email, and every single place and community he was mentioning, I was intimately familiar with. Where he moved to, where he lived with his abusive father, where his wife had moved to, the whole 9 yards, his whole story. And then Very credible man, very intelligent man, innocent man. He didn't ask for any shit, and his story was is really had a big impact on me and many other people too. And also, this got me wondering how he's doing. I know he was a career man, obviously a scientist, a nuclear scientist. I think was one of his handles. So he's definitely doing a little better than my friend Michelle, but financial wise. But I want to find out, now that I've seen the strength we have to help people, I'm going to touch bases with him hopefully today. I'm going to send him an email and see how he's doing and see if he needs any help from us. I'm going to see if he's in a position of needing assistance. And if he is, I'll let you guys know. And we'll make a big difference for that man. So I know he made a big difference for many people coming forward with his truth. What have I learned? What bigger impacts have some of these emails had on me? I think possibly the amount of people who were employed, their career was directly linked with nuclear energy. Military, non-military, but nuclear energy. That was a real eye-opener for me. It was how, especially with the various people who reported in to me directly, of how many times these beings were caught inside all the security barriers and just standing there looking up at the CCTV screen at them. How's that for a what the F? Right? If that doesn't get you wondering what the F. First off is the effort they put forward to get into that nuclear facility, past all the security barriers, and then blatantly stand there and look up at them in the camera and not be caught when all hell breaks loose and all the security goes to investigate. But there's the footprints right there left behind them. That was something else for me. Those emails really are sitting in the back of my head, have made a nest, and they get a little attention from me. But anyways, I don't know, a lot of people, sometimes I don't get offended. I'm not the offended type. I can get angry at people for being dicks, but when I hear people saying, oh, that was a good one, or that was one of my favorite ones, oh, this is a good one, that kind of makes me go, because these emails aren't for entertainment. This channel isn't for entertainment. None of these emails are better than another one or lamer than the other one unless all you are here for is to be entertained. And there's a lot of other channels that like a lot of other channels on the internet like to single out stories that might get more attention or more hits for them, because they're all about the numbers, getting subscribers, and entertaining, possibly keeping people's attention. This channel has never ever once been concerned about keeping anybody's attention. This channel has never ever once invited anybody to come and follow it or share it or subscribe to it, ever, because that's what it's not about. This channel has been and is about, 100% is about all of you out there who have had these shit-eating experiences and have nowhere safe to come forward and share it and get the shit off your back. That's what it's about, and that is a far cry from entertainment, right? The door is wide open again. 2022, the door is wide open. The whole world is welcome here. But you're not allowed to come here and disrespect anyone. You'll get deleted forever and gone forever. But on that note, let's take a look at some more places that the brave people's experiences were shared. And take note that every single one of the places that have filmed from, are places of past experiences and where experiences continue on today. Check it out.
Definitely a bit of a snarky day out today.
Tell you what, I don't know why, but I could hang out in the mountains by myself for a long time.
I haven't fished this chunk yet. I'm definitely gonna hike up to that far bend up there. How's that for cool? Hike into a spot, another different river.
Actually, hold on. I think I can do this.
Sit on top of this. Got a great view here. I'm definitely filling right up on soul food on this trip. You jump into that water and you're going to qualify to join the ladies' choir at church. I'll guarantee you. Anyway, well, I'm here. I'm gonna get some Sharon in on my cross BC journey.
Well, I'm having one of those days where I gotta take a deep breath and not come out swinging, flinging F-bombs every third word, because right now I'm one of those days where I really don't give a shit what anybody thinks about the words I have to say. Alright, so I've got the first big part of my hike done. Well, get a little I'm finally getting some exploring in, some real exploring. And as most of you know, typically, I like to laugh. We always, myself, my friends, people I associate with, we laugh a lot.
Bastard, they look like one of those peach-covered fruit flies. What these little pricks do, they will,
We just heard from the owl man again. It's funny how affection comes and goes with the seasons with these animals. Summertime when it's warm out, they just maul me to death. When it gets cold out, not so much. They don't want to be scratched too much. Okay? These guys just ate. They're kind of full. But anyways, let's get some more shares out on this fine first day of 2022. See what's going on. How many more brave people? I wonder how many more people are going to come forward this year. I'll bet it is substantial. I wonder what we're going to learn this year. I wonder where this is going to lead this year. I wonder if I'm going to get deleted this year, right? I wonder if I'll die this year. Who knows what's going to happen this year? Now, what have we got? All right, I can hear the goats are screaming like poor little hard done by beings in the background. So you know I'm out here. All right, what do we got? It's titled Several Encounters to Share. My dad and I had an actual sighting early October 2012, and I've had several other possible encounters in the same area, southern Washington Cascades, since the early 90s. I've sent a few encounters to your email, but they probably got lost on your old phone. Here's one of my recent encounters. The day was Thursday, October 29th, 2020. With about an hour and a half of daylight left, I drove up to Hospice Hill, a spot I found in 2013 where the old mature blacktail buck seemed to go. I'd already filled my deer tag the Sunday before, but I'd come back up Wednesday to scout for a couple days to see what I missed out on. I parked my truck and walked 600 yards through the heavily vegetated cut to the gate leading into the brand new cut area. I was just past the gate where a creek runs through and crosses the road just before the gate. The wind was blowing, quartering towards me, back down towards the creek on my right. All of a sudden, something very heavy crashed out of the creek bottom. I thought maybe a bear, or an elk, or a cow, which occasionally we have in the area, so I didn't think much of it. A few steps later, I heard a loud, sharp knock. From where the crash noise was like someone took a wooden baseball bat and whacked it against a solid tree. I wheeled around and stared in that direction. About 5 seconds later, there were two knocks up on the hill to my left in the timber, maybe 200 yards away. It sounded again like someone took a baseball bat and hit a tree. The double knock was so quick that I thought they wouldn't have had time to wind up. Wow, that's pretty crazy. It would have been swinging and hitting, and then immediately swinging the other way and hitting. The knocks were basically identical in tone, so it would be quite a coincidence for two beings, whether human or not, to immediately locate and use the exact same stick or club and whack the same kind of solid-sounding tree. I'm not convinced it was wood striking wood or rocks being whacked together. Could have been vocalizations. I wasn't afraid since I was in the wide open, in the new cut with the closest trees brushed some 40 yards away. Plus I was packing heat. I finished my loop and arrived back in my truck just after dark with no further incidents up on the hill. I drove back to my camping spot, which is 2.7 miles away as a crow flies from where I was. At 19:10, I stepped out of my trailer to take a leak, and I could hear either a strange-sounding wolf, we don't have wolves in the area, or a possible Sasquatch from camp. It was a howl, yell, roar, like I've never heard before, and I've been an outdoorsman for 40-plus years. It sounded approximately a half to three-quarter mile away back towards where I heard the wood knocks. It had to be extremely loud, where it was coming from, but I couldn't pick the roars up on my phone when I tried recording them. It roared 7 to 8 times before I went back in my camper to finish my dinner. I went back outside around 20 minutes later, but heard nothing out of the ordinary. I didn't sleep well that night, but no other strange sounds took place that night. Tom Fish Jr. Yeah, the roar's not supposed to be too cool to hear, eh? And I'll hopefully I remember to do a search in your name in the inbox, and I'll try to find those encounters you possibly missed, and I'll get them out, all right? Thanks for sending that in, man. They know you're there. They know you know. It's going to happen again. Eventually. I'll bet you. All right, what's this? Titled, Losing Knowledge from Aborigines and Elders, Lost Skills. All right. Hello, Steve and the Round Table. Hope everyone is well in these times. Australian Aborigines, like many other indigenous people, had extraordinary knowledge of plants and their uses. They would pound a particular tree bark to release a soapy substance that would create a lack of oxygen in a water hole, bringing all the fish to the surface for easy pickings. Or the white sap of a certain plant that could make you blind if it contacts the eyes was used to treat the pain and infection of a stingray barb wound. How about a particular deadly berry that had to be dropped in water, and if it floated, it would be ingested to bring on an abortion when in times of extreme survival? Yet, in the berry sinks, it would kill if eaten. If the berry sinks, it would kill if eaten. There's a gamble. Now, if you just seen your friend drop dead after eating a berry, would you still boil it? Or see if it floats, just to see what happens? Is this how knowledge was dangerously accumulated? Safe edible plants and fungi may sometimes be discovered by other certain animals eating them, but the knowledge of using plants for medicinal purposes can only come with a ridiculous amount of dangerous and deadly experimentation, or perhaps some kind of inner knowledge. I firmly believe there is a plant, fungi, or seaweed out there somewhere to prevent or at least cure every natural illness humans may contact, without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's probably one out there, or a good combination for every man-made disease too. For the better part, the Western world has been deceived into ridiculing natural Eastern medicines, opting for synthetic substitutes and supplements that are often designed to take more of your hard-earned money. Just as science has replaced alchemy, religion replaced spirituality, kleptocracy replaced democracy, and indoctrination has replaced education. Over recent decades, and obviously with advancements in technology, we become further detached from nature because it's not explored, studied, understood, and enjoyed regularly throughout so many schools. Something as simple as a day's fishing can turn into a far greater acknowledgement and understanding of the weather, tides, moon phase, food chain, the movements and migratory patterns of many creatures, and the role they play in that ecosystem. Suddenly, we are subconsciously practicing a highly underrated skill: complete observation of our surroundings. We humans leave certain things in the past because we outgrow them. But we certainly shouldn't leave everything in the past as we currently are. Most importantly, wisdom from all our elders, as there is no substitute for a lifetime or more so lifetimes of experiences and knowledge gained and passed along. That's where we are losing it. We're understanding our problems and faults and its further steps towards big solutions. Take care, everyone. Scott. Scott, thanks for that, man. A lot of people probably need to hear that. But sadly, a lot of people aren't even going to know what the hell you're talking about, right? Today. But I do, and I completely get it, obviously. I try to stay more connected to the natural world than not. And that goes right down to what I eat and drink. And to be honest, I can't remember the last time I was in hospital, except when broken bones I've had to go in the hospital. That's about it. Other than that, I don't go, and I've never had to have any medications or medicines, knock on wood. But I think for me, I can't dictate to anybody, but for me, eating natural game meat, fish, raising our own food, and eating vegetables, I've been to the doctor. I don't have any diseases yet, knock on wood. And of course, there's the knowledge being lost too, the disconnect. It's rampant. But thanks for that sound of the email, man. All right, what do we got here? Here's another one. Mount St. Helens. Familiar place when it comes to this topic. Hi, Steve. I've watched your channel for quite a while now. I like what you're doing. Keep up the great work. About 5 years ago, myself and my girlfriend went to the base of Mount St. Helens to go hiking. We went to Marble Mountain Trailhead. I always pack a pistol, especially in the woods. But this day, I don't know why, my girlfriend talked me into leaving it in the car. It was around mid-July, pretty warm. She said since I was wearing shorts and a tank top, I couldn't conceal it. We started early afternoon. We passed a couple of families who were coming down the trail. We just said hi and kept hiking up the trail. We got about 1 mile into our hike, and my girlfriend Donna asked if we could take a break. I said absolutely. We're both in our 60s, but pretty good shape. About 30 seconds later, we stopped for a break. We were facing each other about 10 feet apart. From behind me came a growl with such a low, deep, chest-piercing sound we froze. I looked at her and lipped to her, "Did you hear that?" And she just shook her head up and down, did not say a word. I put my hand in front of my chest and just pointed toward back down the trail. She took off running. I followed, but I bent down and picked up the only branch I'd seen and was running backwards down the trail. We got down to the parking lot and I still couldn't believe what we heard. I told her I'm glad I didn't take my gun. I might have done something stupid like go for it. Steve, I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, fishing and hunting. In the outdoors, whenever I had the opportunity. Fishing and hunting, in the outdoors, whenever I had the opportunity. I know animal sounds. The one we heard wasn't of those animals. I'm sure it was a Sasquatch. The sound vibrated right through us. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. We need more like you. Ron Flath. Ron, we actually need more like you. That's who we need. We need brave people like you to come forward with their experiences. That's what we really need, and you've done it. And you just helped somebody, somehow. Guaranteed. Have a great New Year, man, and be safe. Make sure you wear something to conceal that firearm next time. Right? You never know when you're going to need it. This one's titled, I Need Some Answers. Hello, Steve. Thank you for this venue, for the delivering truth to the globe. I know we all need answers. I have some background with physics, quantum mechanics, some continued education with various theories like string, quantum electrodynamics, with variant SED, stochastic electrodynamics, ZPE, zero-point energy blank theory, geological sciences, including Milankovich's relative Earth position and collective scientific theory, effective changes on Earth's positioning, as well medical sciences including genetics, immunology, and virology. Just the same, I need answers. I have no doctorate and I am no expert on anything except breathing. I've written to you a few months ago. I haven't heard any response regarding the 5-tone howl, that thing I saw near my home or the tracks in the buckhorn. With your venue, I've become aware of things, events weren't as innocent as they seemed. It was only because of your platform I remember experiencing similar events. 2 are very recent. The shared content you gave shed a bright beacon on things. I originally wrote you about tracks in the deep snow high on the ridgetop in the buckhorn here in Washington State. You have not read that yet. I think it was sent it back in February 26, 2020. That's not as pressing as the recent things. By the way, thank you for sharing my second send about Lino Lakes. Some of the responses add content to my understanding of these beings. I think others have shared here because of that. I want to hear the entire truth shared, whatever the content. I am privy to sensitive things I won't deliver here, though. You may already have some of that content. Time willing, maybe we will talk sometime in the future. Just prior to this unnatural howling event, maybe a few weeks. I had just pulled out of my driveway in my F-350 diesel mid-morning onto the overpass next to my house. I was about 2/3 across the bridge when I saw it, some 75 feet away. I thought I was watching a very large bear, no llama, crossing the bridge over the Jersey barrier. It was heading north at the upper west end of the bridge. There's a Navy base about a quarter mile further due west and north. There's a trailer park to the right, northwest end of the bridge, adjacent to the freeway. The park is full of little kids. I was alarmed, so I went to a couple of the trailers to warn the adults. They were Spanish, so I spoke to them in Spanish, saying, "Hola, quería informarte que hay un oso gigante dentro de tu casa. Cuidado con tus pequeños." How is that for a northern Canadian speaking Spanish? Basically, big bear, watch out for your kids. This thing's body from shoulder to ass was at 6 foot plus and nearly 3 feet taller than the Jersey barrier. Pavement to shoulder maybe 60 to 65 inches tall. I went back and measured the barrier to be 31 inches tall. You're always saying to all of us, give good details and measure. So I did. That would make it 60 to 65 as it stood on all fours. I'd guess 3.5 feet or so, belly to back. The thing walked seemingly awkward, like an old cartoon I'd seen as a kid, like the men in a horse suit cartoon. My first thought was a huge bear and then a llama. It looked sort of like a llama head with a very short neck. The head was not something I'd ever seen in the wild. No ears poking up, his chin pointing straight forward. A smooth arc to the shoulder from the chin and the neck absorbed into the body. The side view of the head was smaller than you would expect compared to the body. It didn't look in my direction. The bottom of the chest was streamlined, no belly droop, and the belly slightly higher than the Jersey barrier. That would put its feet, legs, and top of back at around 6 foot as it walked on all fours. It had hair. Its back did not seem to move up and down, but was steady, like the belly. I don't remember seeing shoulder roll. I didn't see its first jump over the Jersey onto the road surface, just its 4 feet to the ground. It took only 4 strides to clear the road surface, some 46 plus feet. Jersey to Jersey, it wasn't loping like a horse. I tried to register my thoughts because it stood up on its 2 rear legs to jump over the north barrier. It took me a minute to gather what I was seeing. The clumsy walk was on legs that were bent, rear knees to front leg elbows. Like a bear? But? Or if a human was on all fours. It was like that, but with a seemingly straight back and belly parallel to the asphalt. What the heck? The hair did not seem to be very long, but seemed thick. It was jet black. The feet were too long for the thing to be a bear. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the jump over the barrier before it was gone. There are few creatures in the animal kingdom with joints like humans, elbows pointing to knees as it walked. A few weeks later, the howling. I need to know if anyone has ever heard anything like this. It was some 3 months after the overpass sighting, around March or April 2020. I was awakened around 2:45 a.m. by something. I opened my eyes in the dark to listen. I slept with the window open for the cool air, winter and summer. Seconds later, I heard the howl. It started out high-pitched, then the second tone slightly higher, then the third slightly lower than the first, then slightly lower again, and then lastly, as low as it was. I later tried to kind of imitate it. It wasn't possible, too long to hold each pitch. I used to listen to a bunch of coyotes light off early morning, 1 to 3 a.m. in the same direction the howl came from. I had not heard the coyotes for some time. What I thought had woken me, the song Puppies Were Back, and then that howl. I grabbed my cell, went to the window, I hit video to record any further sound. I waited for about an hour and a half and getting fatigued to capture the howl. I was disappointed. With no repeat of the howl, nothing more to hear. The fact that it had 5 lengthy tones made me wonder. I remember you saying that wolves have 2-tone howls. This thing had 5 tones, and the duration long. The length of each tone of the howl was longer than any animal I could imagine. As I remember, each tone seemed to carry a note equally in length. I tried to imitate it, then fresh in my mind. Head out the window, I could not muster more than the first 2 tones before out of lung capacity. I'm not sure what to think other than sabe of some sort. Anyone that can help clarify this description, I'm all in to read about it. I'm remaining alert to capture either the Yotes or the 5-tone howl. I may get lucky the next time. Steve, if I'm able to capture it, I want to forward it for your sharing. I'll need to know where and what link to upload it to you. The thing is, this thing is a bit close to my home. I live only 2.5 miles out of town. There are many homes here, but a good amount of forest too. If it shows up outside my home and I see that it does not have a human-like head or that of known animals, if it stands on 2 legs and has a dog's head, I think I'm going to have to let it down. In this scenario / idea sound, I'm going to read that one more time. I think I'm going to have to let it down. In this scenario / idea, sound, what would you do? This howling messes with my head. I hope someone else shares that they had heard a howl with the same temporal arrangement or a similar sequential succession. P.S. If you'd like, I will send my first email, the one you haven't read, about the trucks in the Buckhorn. Let me know. If you received the other copy of this letter, please delete it. This need only be read once. To the First Nations and others, I need answers. Please be informative here. Thanks for the chance to learn and vent here. Best regards, Lee Slowey. Lee, send it away, man. If I missed it, send it, all right? And if you want, just title it Resent. Maybe, I don't know. Just resend it. I'll find it. I'll come across it. And if I, almost every time I read, like, have you noticed I always got to say, well, hopefully when I get back in, I can remember to search your name in my inbox. There's so many freaking emails, it's ridiculous. Okay, so that question you asked me, what would I do? I think I've stated a few times in the past, if I ever seen anything huge, muscular, with a dog's head attached to its shoulders, I'd probably just put a hole in its head with a 300 mag. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know, man. I mean, you know what? I might look like that scary creature to somebody who's not of here. And I'm innocent, and all of a sudden they just dump me for what I look like. So obviously it is something to ponder, right? The really shitty thing is today, something of that, well, we've been raised. That description is accurate to be our perfect childhood monster we've been raised to be terrified of in movies and cartoons, comic strips, right? That's what a true monster has been described and portrayed to us as. Excuse me. So, do I think it's right just to kill something for the way it looks? It's a pretty tough one, right? But I like to go on my instincts of how it makes you feel. If I'm in the woods alone and something of that description is standing there staring me down, which only predators, when a predator is staring you down, it's game on. No matter what, that's just the law of nature in our world today. So if I'm in the woods, I see something of that description with a canine head, and it's walking like a man, and it has human-like arms and fingers and feet and toes, it's going to be pretty hard to imagine that it just wants to come up and be friendly and hump my leg, right? So I think I'll leave that decision to the moment if I come across it. If I experience that myself, if I feel threatened, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war, and I'm not going to wait for it to take the first shot. You'll know. You'll know. It's like body language. When I'm trying to teach people how to hunt better, I really emphasize on body language. Everything in nature knows that shared language, which is body language, including humans. And I'll try not to babble too long, you guys, but the way body language works, especially while hunting game, is for me, when I'm still hunting in the big timber and I come across the game, I'll look over, I'm busted, there's a huge buck or something standing there looking at me, I'll just look away, and I won't tense my body up, and I'll look away, and I'll look absolutely innocent like I am right now. I'll even go like this, intentionally. You can't get more of a universal, I'm calm and cool body reaction than doing something like this, right? But I guarantee you what I'm not going to do is go like this. Right? Because in the natural world, that means one of two things. That means, are you coming here to kill me? Or that means, I'm about to come and kill you. Right? Either way, it's not a comforting body language emotion. So, that being said, if something with that description of a canine's head and his shoulder is staring me down like that, it's probably going to have a big chunk of lead coming at it. If it takes a look at me and goes like this, oh shit, and runs, well, I guess it wasn't trying to kill me, was it? So what do you do, shoot it in the back? Just be safe out there and try to be in tune with your instincts. Try to be in tune with your honest, natural feelings. If you feel threatened, you're probably being threatened, right? If you're not feeling threatened, you're probably not feeling threatened. Lots of people have claimed to have felt instant calm, while others have reported to feel instant dread and that they're in the most dangerous place ever, and they're probably about to be getting killed. So it's up to you, man. I can't tell anybody what to do in any scenario like that, but just go with your natural instincts. If you feel threatened, it's going to be game on. That's how I'm carrying myself anyway. Anyway, I'm going to find another one to share, and while I do that, here's some more of those places that I took all of you this past year, or even 2. Here's another one. Well, I drove as high as I could drive on this hill. That's a fair ways up, not a bad view. Alright, I'm hanging out for a little longer, long enough to get a handful of voices, more voices heard, alright? Oh my gosh, I'm on fire right now. I gotta mellow out. Well, it's Christmas Eve day before Christmas. So while I'm here, I'm gonna see if I can share an email that's come in. And this weather is socking in. It's been storming all over the place. Well, it's definitely raining, but it's not too bad. Put Took on this camera.
It's titled 1982, Huge Hairy Man, question marks. All right, here's a little update. What do we got? Hey Steve, I stumbled on your site a little over a year ago when I was researching the cryptid I had an encounter with.
Tell me if I'm wrong. If what I just said offends you in any way, leave my channel. Just get lost. This isn't the place for you. Offended culture people are not safe here. All right? But I think it deserves to be a discussion at the round table of knowledge. And I think everybody deserves to have their hearsay. And they're saying it respectfully. And not lash out and act like a bunch of frickin' pussies. How's that for mouthful? Then now we also getting on a bit of a different topic, but the same. When we always hear about people saying divide and conquer, but divide and conquer, it's far easier to divide and conquer and control as long as everybody's fighting amongst themselves, right? That is correct, right? So let's just say divide and conquer was and is the intention with all of this COVID pandemic issue. Let's just say it was. Let's just throw it out there and say it was. All right, what do we got? Here's another one. This one is titled, Wild People. Hi Steve, I was introduced to these beings just a few years ago, and I've been on a rocky road of discovery since. The biggest shock was realizing the being that shouted us as children playing our games was not just a local kid, but one of their young. It only appeared after dark, except for a couple of times in daylight. We were terrified. Except in the dark, it was okay. I've been back to the area I grew up to see how many of the locals were aware of them, and I've yet to find one. Yes, they inhabited a place we call semi-rural. There are villages scattered around where they live. How could they be unaware? I noticed the older I become, the fewer encounters there were. The last few encounters in my late teens were 15 miles away in desolate areas. I didn't know it was them at the time, but I do now. I'm a very rational person. I hold onto logic as it has served me very well over my lifetime. These beings, however, test rational reasoning to the limit. I refuse to believe in the mystical qualities many people apply to them. They are just people who live in the wild and avoid detection. I'm based in Europe. Okay, Dave, thanks for that, man. And just so you know, Dave, it's your ride, man. Your lifetime is your ride. And answers you are seeking out are answers to fill in your puzzle, okay? So whatever you believe or I believe, it's okay, okay? And you don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to believe what other people believe. You're gonna come to your own conclusions, and it's all about you in the end and your ride and your puzzle. And that's the good thing about this channel, right? I'm sure there's gonna be a shit pile of people that'd love to debate you on the supernatural, possible supernatural. Rude. On the possible supernatural qualities these beings possess. And for me, there are far too many first-hand experiences that prove otherwise. For me, that I have seen, that I've heard, that I've read. Anyway, thanks for signing in, man. And keep digging. Keep digging for those answers and keep digging to find those pieces, those missing pieces of your puzzle, all right? And if you come across any knowledge you think we might benefit, get it into us. Please. Alright, what's this one? This is titled Bigfoot at the Beach Part 2 plus Photos. Hello Steve, my name is Lou. I wrote to you before. I remember, Lou. You recently read my story about my childhood school trip experience and sighting on the beach. You can use my first name if you like. I live in South Jersey by the shore. I've been listening to your channel for over a year now, and I really like what you're doing. There is no one else taking this approach to the subject. I'd like to address the subject of the origins of these beings and share a few more stories. First, I'm convinced that they are connected to the fallen angels mentioned in the Bible. Several reasons for this. The first and foremost is that whenever anyone invokes the name of Jesus against these beings, they respond and either withdraw or stop their aggressive behavior towards them. Second is that there seems to be a connection between them and UFOs. They have been seen countless times in the vicinity of these strange craft. On a recent trip to Cape Bay, I spotted another teepee structure on a beach while on board a sightseeing boat. When I got back to the hotel and checked the photo, I inadvertently caught a UFO flying over the structure. I will include the photo at the end. I believe these so-called aliens, greys, are also some form of hybrid to these angels. The Bible refers to Satan as the prince of power of the air. Interesting. Testing has shown the Sasquatch DNA is very similar to ours. The Bible says that angels can exist in our dimension, the physical realm as well as the spiritual realm. This is an ability that Sasquatch seems to have as well. Sometimes they appear like the distorted outline in the movie Predator. Sometimes they are fully cloaked. This could be perhaps because of the percentage of angelic DNA and individual poses. Must mean possess. Some may have more than others. DNA scientist Melba Ketchum wrote a paper on the subject after testing 20 different Sasquatch DNA samples. The test confirmed that they are a hybrid species originating from the mating of a human female and an unknown male possessing similar, but uniquely different DNA. This also goes along with the biblical account of fallen angels taking women as mates, producing enormous offspring that were known by many names, Nephilim and others, or simply as giants. I'm a Christian, and I personally use my authority in Christ as a believer to order one of these Sasquatch to show yourself. When I smelled it and knew it was there, I looked to my right and suddenly it was there where it wasn't a moment before. This was on an open beach, by the way, so nowhere for it to hide. It just walked along like it was taking a stroll. I told this story in the previous email, so I won't elaborate further. I included a picture of the beach structure where the sighting took place at the end. Their psychic abilities are also formidable. Before I had the encounter I just spoke of, I had become rather obsessed with seeing one. Having found 2 teepee structures not far from my house, I knew one had to be nearby. I kept visiting the newer of the 2 to see if I could find any tracks or changes in the structure. It was built inside a grove of trees between a sandy beach and a small salt marsh meadow. The funny thing is, whenever I would start to enter the grove, I would feel this sort of pressure, like a spiritual wall blocking me from entering. Not a physical barrier, but something was trying to discourage me from entering. I've always been tuned to the spiritual. I've had my share of experience with haunted houses, and it was a similar feeling. The way to deal with it is to push back with your psyche. All I can say is that the force pushed back, stronger than any haunted entity I've encountered. The teepee continues to get bigger every time I see it. However, I no longer go into the grove of trees where it is located. I only glance over it as I walk along the beach where it is located. I've always liked walking along there before I discovered it, so I decided that I will continue to, like I did before. I actually caught a picture of the Sasquatch accidentally when I was taking pictures of it a few years ago. There were 4-inch diameter trees twisted and ripped off near the bases, probably used to build it. But when I got home and reviewed the photos, I noticed something standing in the meadow behind the structure, about maybe 50 yards away, partially obscured by the meadow reeds. Upon zooming in, I could clearly see a dark brown figure with a black eye and cone-shaped head staring at us. My son was with me. I was concerned about that when we were there.
It felt like we were being watched, and I had been on the alert, looking around constantly so nothing could sneak up on us. It was February and very cold, so no one was around, which felt dangerous to me. I was 47 at the time, and my son was 20. I'm 6 foot tall. Have practiced martial arts since I was a kid. My son is a bodybuilder and very strong, but I knew that if one showed up, we would be no match for it. I told my son that if that happened, to run, and I would deal with it. As a parent, you care more about your children's life than your own. Thankfully, we left without incident. But when I saw that thing in the picture, it just had this look like, what the hell are they doing near my shit? I will include a photo at the end. Then some strange things began to happen. Sometimes when I left for work in the morning, I would step outside and smell an awful pungent sulfur smell lingering in the air. At first I thought nothing of it, but then it happened again. I would continue to smell that from time to time in my neighborhood and driving by certain areas near the marsh meadows. Living in a semi-rural area, you see and hear all kinds of natural creatures. So one night while sleeping, say around 2 to 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of an owl hooting outside my window, but it sounded a bit strange. Then I heard another one answered from across the lagoon. This went on for a while and was creepy for some reason. Somehow it just felt off. Then when I would drive to my gun club, shooting range, I could not shake that feeling that I was being tracked when I drove through the woods to go there. It was quite a distance from my house. I actually would turn off and go through a town instead of going down this one road despite it being longer just to avoid it after dark. So one evening I just couldn't shake that feeling. And as I was driving the detour road home, I crossed an area of salt marsh with a small bridge, which is a good 3 to 4 miles away from the woods road, and suddenly a tree branch comes flying out of the marsh and slides across the road, across the hood of my car, just missing the windshield. This is a very precise throw. There was no one around, and no one would be standing in the mud in 40-degree weather just to throw shit at passing cars. I got the feeling that it was telling me, hey, yes, we are here, and know who you are. About a year or so prior to this event, within a mile or so from where this happened, a friend of mine and I were out on his boat fishing one evening after work. My friend likes to drink beer when he's fishing, so after having a few, he was unable to drive the boat, so I took over. It was getting dark, and we were coming up the river bend towards the marina, which is leaving the salt bay, getting into brackish water, which ultimately leads back into the mainland wilderness. The marina is just before that. Anyway, as we're heading down the river in the dark, there's a small sandy beach on the right side. As we passed, it felt like I was being watched. My friend was downstairs laying down, as this is a cuddy cabin boat. After we passed the beach, just to my 5 o'clock, something growled at us. Within a few seconds, I heard my friend say, "What the hell was that?" I just laughed to myself, and then I said, I got a pretty good idea. I left it at that. As we continued on down the river, less than a minute later, I could hear the growl again coming from behind us, back at that beach. I've heard it said that they do not like the sound of motors, engines, lawnmowers, especially at night. Again, this is all in the same general vicinity as the beach throwing incident. Then the owl thing happened again. I could not sleep at night without feeling like somehow I was being targeted mentally. My wife even said to me one night that she felt, but not seen, the presence of what she said was like a man watching her through the backsliding door. She said it felt like a ghost watching her. We live in a lagoon, the bulkhead and a floating dock. We like to sit out back at night sometimes. One night, my wife was out back around midnight, and she heard something large splash in the lagoon right in front of the dock. I myself had a similar experience and actually saw a wake in the water coming towards our dock. She said it was like a person had jumped out of the water. She got spooked and went inside. I decided that this isn't right, so I said to myself, that's it. I felt as if they could hear my thoughts. So I resolved to leave them alone, and they will leave me alone. I would no longer go to the structure or to try to find them, and they will stop bothering me and my family. I also resolved to stand on my authority in Christ to overpower them spiritually and mentally.
I also let it be known that I will not hesitate to use the firepower at my disposal if necessary. I carry one of my handguns on me at my house and outside all times. I also have my AK-47s and AKMs ready to go if needed. I will defend my family and myself from anyone that threatens it. Myself from anyone or anything that threatens it. Since then, things have been fine. I no longer feel like I did, and nothing further has happened. With the exception of last year, my son decided to go look at the teepee and show his girlfriend. He came home and told me and showed me some new pictures. I told him that it wasn't a good idea to do that and not to go there anymore. I explained to him why and what had been going on before, and he agreed. That night I was laying in bed with the window open, and off in the distance I heard that unmistakable Sasquatch howl. I asked my son if he was watching a YouTube video as his bedroom is next to ours, and he said no. I can't explain why, but I felt like it was letting me know, hey, tell your kid to stay the hell away. These creatures are not to be messed with. They know who you are and where you live. They know this through spiritual means. My advice is to never deliberately seek them out. They can be dangerous as well. Too many people have disappeared, some with evidence of Sasquatch involvement. My advice is mind your business. Arm yourself and stay alert when out in the woods or rural areas, especially near water. But do not let them keep you from doing things you love. If you aren't already, become a believer in our Lord Jesus Christ and stand on that authority. Steve, thanks again and God bless. And here are photographs. And I'll let all of you have a look at that and take from it what you will or leave it. All right? I'm pretty confident what you, Lou, what you have come to, the conclusions you've come to are working for you, and it's not a bad thing to pass on to the world through this channel, right? Someone's going to benefit from what you just shared, guaranteed. Anyway, that was a pretty good spiel for today, wasn't it? For the first day of 2022. Now to get on with the day. Get this video out to all you guys, and I'm going to go see if I can fix that hole in my waders, and I'm going to take you guys to somewhere that seems to look, I'm going to take you guys somewhere that looks to be a very, very special place. So, Happy New Year, guys. Be safe, be happy, don't be afraid of anything. Concentrate on doing what makes you feel good in life. Don't be scared of anyone or anything. And stick with each other. Stick up for each other, all right? And help each other. And I will be back, and we will get everybody's voices shared.